The base is dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down here. It's a Wednesday. It is a Wall Pass Wednesday. It's a Match Day Wednesday. It is a big Wednesday in MLS with a lot of games going on. One here in Atlanta. Atlanta United hosting Inter Miami. 7 o'clock is the broadcast time. Kickoff could be anywhere between 7:08 and 7:20. I haven't checked the window for FS1 tonight. If it is the 2-hour window, which would mean kickoff would be about 7:06, 7:08. If it's the 2.5-hour window, which would mean it's probably in the 7:20-ish range. So we'll see what we can figure out as we're going this morning. We've got Mike Conti joining us at 10 o'clock. We've got Doug Robertson joining us at 10:30. Lots of stuff today. We've got some other things to get into as well. We'll preview the rest of MLS today as well. We've got some news to kick things off. John, you want to do that?
Yeah. The NBC Sports is going to air the 2020-2021 FA Women's Super League across their platforms. WSL Action. There you go. WSL Action makes its TV debut in the U.S. this Sunday as Manchester United versus Chelsea will be shown live on NBCSN, and 50 games during the 2021 WSL season will be shown across the NBC Sports platforms as part of a season-long partnership with Atalanta Media. Through the partnership, NBC Sports presents WSL matches between September and May, including at least 12 matches on NBCSN, with other games on the NBC Sports app and NBCSports.com. So there you go.
Yeah, the games on the app and on NBCSports.com are not on the Peacock subscription. That's the way I read it from Jonathan Tannewald's article in the Philadelphia Inquirer. They are available to subscribers who have NBCSN on your cable system or streaming package or what have you. So you can watch it there. These games were available in the United States, and the rest of the league games are available in the United States through the FA Women's Super League's own, I think, YouTube platform. You might have to watch it on their website. I think it is on their website, actually. So you could watch these before. The games on NBCSN is really good. I'd love to see more of them. I think if the ratings are good, they'll probably bump some of those from digital over. There's some of those that I think are on NBCSN are tape delayed, which I'm not a fan of. Yeah. More coverage is good, and I think this puts pressure on the NWSL, which is good because you've got a league now, another women's professional soccer league that will be more accessible in the United States. This is a good thing for the women's game as a whole, and it should push the NWSL to be even more competitive. Sean Vergara is wanting a Messi Gate update. Teise is on in front of me. You have a meeting that has either just started or is about to start between Barcelona president Bartomeu and Jorge Messi. Lionel's father also handles his business affairs. He was asked as he got out of a car in Barcelona if he had talked to City, if he had talked to Pep. He said no, there's nothing there. Some other reporting that is out there on the Messi Gate saga at this point. Vero Bernatti out of Buenos Aires is reporting a few different things that seem to be in line with other things I've heard from people that I'm trusting in this. Messi's not staying at Barcelona. That part's gone. He's out the door. Barcelona is not going to let Messi go for a free transfer, for anything right now, what they're saying, less than this $700 million mythical thing. Manchester City is sitting back and saying, we got nothing to do with this. We're not involved. We're not going to be involved. If he's available, yeah, we want to talk. But we're not involved right now. Barcelona's threatening if Messi gets a free transfer from FIFA. Barcelona's threatening to take it to the courts. They're threatening to sue the club that signs him. They're threatening everything. That's not a good approach. That's not going to help you because he's not staying. No. And we'll see after this meeting if that is understood. Maybe everything has been posturing on the Barcelona side with the idea that we can keep him. Maybe once Jorge Messi sits down and says no. Well, what if we do no? Well, what about no? What if we no? He's gone. He's not coming. He's not coming into training. He's gone. Maybe things will change. But it sounds like a complete and utter standoff right now, and it could get even worse going forward. So we'll see. They're meeting, either they're about to or they're meeting right now. The video had Jorge Messi, I think, going into the Barcelona complex. So we'll keep you posted on what happens there, because you'll start to hear things. Like, there are leaks in both of these organizations. It's not an accident that Teise had this first when Messi sent the burofax. Messi's Argentine. Things get leaked to the Argentine media, just saying. Barcelona will have leaks, and they will also be employing very specific things to try to sway the public opinion as well. So it's going to get very ridiculous. Even more so. We'll keep you posted as best we can as we see anything going on with it. We'll give you an update. But, yeah, be ready for Messi-gate stuff all day now that Jorge Messi is in Barcelona.
Yeah, and when Teise has basically what amounts to an offset triple box with the video on cycle of Jorge Messi landing at the airport, hopping into a taxi, the still shot from outside the complex, and then live shots from all the other stories and that location. Yeah, it's quoting old JR Business is about to pick up if it hadn't picked up already.
Well, see, this is the thing, John. You're acting like this is new. This has been Teise's normal broadcast for over a week now on their sports shows. They've had 4 or 5 or sometimes 6 or sometimes 8 boxes of things going on with all of this. So 3 is tame. This is fine. It's going to get more ridiculous as we go, as we start to hear more. Christopher Abel is shocked and appalled that there are media leaks out of Argentina. I know, it's crazy.
Yes.
And Barcelona, too. I mean, it's just crazy. Four-Card says Barca owe Messi way more than just his freedom, and if they agreed to the clause, they need to honor it. And yes, Chris Ashley, don't forget, Teise did break the news first in the world. They were by far the first, and they made sure everybody knew that. Burns says, I think Bartomeu is mostly trying to get the socios, the members, turned against Messi. He seems to be succeeding slowly. I haven't gotten that sense that he's succeeding. I guess maybe the socios are, I've felt more resigned to the fact that he's gone and there's nothing they can do to fix it. I don't think they're turning against Messi yet, but we'll see. We'll see how they play this situation now. They've done it before, and they've had success. I just don't think it'll be as successful with a player like Lionel Messi, a legend like Lionel Messi. Okay, let's get into MLS and the match from last night. Montreal wins 1-0. Toronto's long-time unbeaten streak is gone, and it is gone in spectacular fashion. An absolutely ridiculous situation. First, with a penalty that should not have been a penalty. It was an awful dive from Josie Altidore, in my opinion. Just awful. They get the penalty, and then Toronto gets very cute with the penalty. Very cute. Very clever. They thought they were a little bit smarter than everybody else, except Pablo Piatti started his run a little early, and when Pozuelo just dinked it forward, Piatti was already in the box. So that's encroachment. Now, where it gets interesting, and I have not seen, I've heard the explanation of this, but I have not actually seen in the laws of the game the way that this went down. The referees, or a spokesperson for the referees, told, I think it was Luke Weilman on TSN last night, that because he encroached in the area and interfered by touching the ball and shooting, that meant it was an indirect free kick going the other way. That's not in the laws of the game. Now, that might be somewhere in terms of an interpretation or somewhere in terms of a codicil to this, but the laws of the game, if an attacker encroaches and the ball ends up in the back of the net, which is this case, it is retaken, and everybody expected a retake here. I don't know where the specific wording is to allow that. Anyway, I mean, it was dumb, so I'm not going to really hate you too much for punishing Toronto for that, because you kind of get what you deserve with going down that road. And Toronto had really no other answers, and Montreal probably should have made it 2-0, and they didn't, but they win 1-0. Good win for the Impact. Thierry Henry was happy, and Toronto looked a little foolish.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the fallout after the cheekiness, and yes, I will admit that my vocal nature after it happened was somewhat colored by the fact that I captained Pozuelo on my fantasy team last night. I'm literally yelling at the television going, what are you doing? Sure, fine, great.
He messed up my fantasy team.
But just in general, pull that aside to the second. Why are you being this cute in a PK situation? Why? Why not just pound it into the back of the net, take care of business? You're tied at 1, you move on instead of, hey, let's try to be doing something a little cute. Hey, I'm going to dink it over here. Pablo, you good to go? Yeah, I'm good to go. And then you zoom in early. What are you thinking? What are you doing?
Okay, Taylor Twellman, good job.
Who came up with this?
A lot of people have. Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez have scored on this.
Encroachment.
Yeah, because they timed it right.
Right. So it's like I blame Toronto FC in general for thinking of the notion. I blame Pablo Piatti for being too fast.
That's the blame, yeah.
It's A, why would you do it in the first place? B, if you're going to do it, Pablo Piatti, slow your roll.
Why?
Make sure that.
Go ahead. Keep going. Now finish it up.
Oh, no, it's just like I said. It's multiple fronts, but the frustrating thing about it is you have an opportunity to just bang it into the back of the net. Why don't you just do that?
Because sometimes they get saved.
What? Then I guess Pozuelo needs to get a dog and not do penalty kicks anymore? If you think
no,
that
you'd be yelling at him if it was saved. If he missed the penalty or he put it over the bar, you'd be yelling at him then too.
I would.
So, I mean, that's part of it.
At least it's on Pozuelo in and of itself. It's not on the thought of doing it and then Piatti coming in early and trying to bang this cuteness into the back of it. Just go ahead and take care of business yourself. That's
okay, you've lost me with some of your upset here. The upset's they missed the penalty. However you missed it, they missed the penalty. They blew their opportunity to equalize here. That's the problem. If you miss it when it's saved, if you miss it by putting it into the stands, if you miss it by doing this, whatever. This one's trying a little bit too hard, but as was pointed out in the broadcast, which is probably part of the thought process, Pozuelo had a penalty against Montreal in their last match, which was a couple days ago. And he scored it. And maybe the thought was, well, wait a minute. Okay, I just had one. He's going to go that way. I don't like to go the other way with my penalty. I'm going to do this. I get the logic there. I still think you're trying too hard. I still think you're overthinking it. But, look, here's the thing. If Piatti just holds up his run like he's supposed to and waits till the ball's touched, it's a goal and everybody's celebrating it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, look how smart they are. Look at that.
That was a great idea that they did. Look at that. They completely juked.
Well, you're saying that with a mocking voice, but that's exactly what people would be saying without the mocking voice.
Yeah, that was something of a direct quote of what you would be saying.
Yeah, but you were mocking it, is what I'm saying. Like, if you scored it, there's no mocking. Everybody's like, ha, ha, look at how they got him. Ha, ha, that's awesome. They're so smart. Instead, they're really dumb because they did it. But welcome penalty taking. You could have switched PK takers, Clayton Poss. I don't know their penalty history or situation or who generally takes them. Michael Bradley's not taken one. He's had some very bad penalty situations in recent years, so he wouldn't take one. I don't know. I don't know Piatti's history with it. Generally, teams have one or two. Atlanta's been a little weird in that at times they've had 3 or 4 because, I mean, Joseph, obviously, he became the main guy. But before that, Miguel took penalties. Barco has taken many big penalties in his career. So, Pitti. So, you've got plenty of different options there. I don't know about Toronto. It's weird. I don't know about Josie taking penalties. I'd have to look back at his history. Pablo, potentially. You just have to look at it because just because somebody's a goal scorer doesn't mean they like taking penalties or they're good at taking penalties. I'm always reminded of Mia Hamm. She had to be like pushed into taking penalties. Yep. She never took penalties in games for the U.S. national team. She hated taking them. She didn't want to take one in the shootout in the 99 final. And basically the coaches had to come over and say, look, you have to take one. Like you are one of the most important people we have here. You can make this. You have to take it. Sometimes it's a mental thing for guys. So I don't know that inside knowledge of Toronto FC. They tried too hard and it didn't work. The simpler is usually the better. That's just how it goes.
Yes.
But they lose, and Montreal gets the win. Now we've got a bunch of games tonight. We're obviously going to come back to Atlanta and Miami. That will kick off the action this evening. There are 3 matches at 7:30 in the league, and we will start with Cincinnati hosting the Chicago Fire. What do the juice boxes say about this?
Juice boxes in the aggregate say FC Cincinnati at plus 229, Chicago Fire at plus 119, and your draw plus 244.
So Cincinnati's at home with a pretty good number. Chicago is without goalkeeper number 1, Kenneth Cronholm. Without goalkeeper number 2, Bobby Shuttleworth, groin injury, possibly without him. Connor Sparrow played the last one. So you're down to goalkeeper number 3. You're on the road. Ricky Ricardo saying Chicago big. I'm saying throw some juice boxes on Cincinnati here.
Yeah, I am too. I just because of the absences that Chicago has going into this match. I'm leaning towards Cincinnati.
I like that number. I like that number at home. Yeah, Cincinnati. I've been swayed. Cincinnati. All right, Columbus and Philadelphia is your next one. It's in Columbus. What are the odds makers saying?
Columbus minus 127.
Okay.
Philadelphia plus 340.
Woo!
What I
All in, baby. All in on Philadelphia. Let's see if there's anything else that should make me scared. Columbus has kept a clean sheet in their last 4 matches at home against Philadelphia. Home field doesn't mean as much right now. Games have been low scoring in general against Philadelphia when you look back in history between these two.
Want your draw option?
What's the draw option?
Plus 275.
Nah, Philadelphia.
Okay.
I think Philly wins. I will stick to my skepticism of Columbus that I've had all year and my promotion of Philadelphia that I've had all year. And I guess I have to roll with that. I'd be going against my thoughts if I go the other way. So, yeah, I'm going Philly.
I agree because, I would have agreed in the first place with Columbus being a minus 127, but then you stare at that plus 340 and you're like, yeah. I feel like Eli Drake. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably what I would do if I had a couple of juice boxes that I'd like to go here, I would go 1 on the draw and 1 on the Philly win. Kind of hedge my bet a little bit there. Zelarayan is back, according to Ricky Ricardo. I'm still Philadelphia on this. I've got to roll with my gut feeling on it, and I've had a strong gut feeling about Philadelphia all year, so I'm rolling with that. Red Bulls hosting DC in the Atlantic Cup Derby, going all the way back to 1996 when I think there was spitting involved in the first game between these two teams when the Red Bulls were the Metro Stars. And, I mean, you had like guys who'd grown up together and John Harkes and Tab Ramos and Tony Miola nearly fighting, and it was all kinds of chaos. They don't like each other at all. Felipe is out with an injury, it sounds like. DC's got a bunch of other injury situations. Red Bulls are the Red Bulls. What are the numbers looking like?
Red Bulls minus 137, DC plus 363, and your draw option plus 290.
That DC number would have to be a whole lot bigger to get me on that one. And these are the numbers why. You look back in recent years on these two, and there's a lot of similarities in recent years by the way they're still playing. Red Bulls have kept a clean sheet in 8 of their last 10 home matches at Red Bull Arena against DC in all competitions. Red Bulls are undefeated in their last 12 at Red Bull Arena against DC in all competitions. Red Bulls win. I'm not putting anything on it. No juice boxes. I might throw a Nilla wafer on it or something. All right, 8 o'clock games. Houston, Minnesota. I'm very intrigued by this match. What do the numbers say?
Houston, plus 136. Minnesota United, plus 179. And your draw is at plus 272.
Toss up. Houston gets the home field advantage, which I think is non-existent at the moment. Bebelo Reynoso could be playing. He's got his international transfer certificate, and Minnesota said they might have him play. Yes, he is available, Wildchara. I don't know if he's ever trained with Minnesota, but he is available. So does he come off the bench? Probably. Well, I mean, he's a playmaker. So, I mean, basically it's going to be, all right, hey, Reynoso, here's what it's going to be. You got two guys behind you who will be your bodyguards. They're going to kick everything that moves that gets near you. Osvaldo Alonso, you'll get to know him really well. You'll like him. He's going to make sure you're safe and you're protected. Gregush can come up and play with you a little bit. You've got these guys out wide and Robin Laud or maybe Kevin Molino and Ethan Finley. They're good. They're going to help you out. And that guy up top, Luis Amarilla, he can score a bunch of goals. You go do your thing. Everything else, we got it. You go do your thing. It's going to take a minute, I think, for him to get fully comfortable here. I think there's going to be goals in this thing. I like the over in it. Anything? Give me the over under at 3.5.
Okay, and on efforting.
I know I'm getting specific here.
No. I mean, you've been right on with numbers in the past. So, over under 3.5 is at plus 139.
Because I like 4 in this is where my head's at on this. What is it at 4.5?
4.5 is plus 321.
Ooh. Can we get to 5-goal madness in this? These two teams, you could. All right. I'll go the over at the 4.5 because that's a pretty fun one, and I feel decent about it. It's a toss-up on the result. What's the draw number here?
The draw number, as we click back to it, is plus 272.
Could we get a 3-3 draw in this madness? Feels like it's possible. Burned with a good point. Houston's such a counter team. They have nothing else. Well, I mean, Minnesota's going to attack a lot, so they're going to have plenty of chances to counter. And Minnesota, once you do get past that midfield, Jose Aja and Michael Boxall, I don't mind attacking them on the counter at all. And it's going to be Ranjit Singh, I think, in goal. Tyler Miller out for the rest of the year. They're going to give up some goals. I don't see Minnesota locking this thing down. 3-3 draw is feeling pretty good. I'll go draw on it. I'll go draw, and I'll take that over at 4.5. God, I could probably, if I'm going to go that way, I could go the over all the way at 5.5, which is probably stupid. But I'll go draw, and I will go with that over just to kind of hedge it a little bit. That's where
your 5.5 number is a plus 651.
If you're feeling really lucky, there you go. I'm not feeling that lucky right now. Okay, next one. Did I get these mixed up? Okay, here we go. New England and New York City. This is an intriguing one because I don't know what to make of either one of these teams. What are the numbers saying?
Well, because of that sentence, I'll give you the draw option first, plus 254. The Revs, plus 145 to win. NYCFC and the composite, plus 175.
Toss up. Home field gets the advantage a little bit here. What's the draw?
Plus 254 in your composite.
Yeah, I have no idea how this is going to go. It feels like it's what the last New England game was, 1-1. 1-1, I'll take the draw. I really just don't know what to make in New England without Carlos Heel. They don't really seem to have found how to deal with this. Maxi Morales is coming back. He was off the bench in the last one. They're getting healthy, but they haven't found their ground either, and they've given up some bad goals, New York City. Go and draw. Until either one of those teams, I think, show us who they are this year, I can't trust either one of them. Next one, Sporting Kansas City and FC Dallas.
Sporting, minus 133. FCD at plus 350, and your draws at plus 289.
I've got to go Sporting here, even with the not-so-great odds, so I probably wouldn't put anything on it. Dallas have scored at least 2 goals in their last 3 matches in Kansas City in all competitions. Kansas City is still somewhat figuring out what they're like defensively. Busio's still figuring out the 6 role. Pamakal Walchara is out. He's had hip issues. Looks like he's going to have surgery to repair that. Yeah, I got to go Kansas City on this. I'm not putting anything there. I'm not. I don't like those numbers. I don't really know how to feel about an over/under here either. But I think Kansas City gets the win.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I looked at Sporting at home, and even though I'm looking at home field advantage, which kind of sort of exists, kind of sort of doesn't, I just think that Dallas traveling up, Sporting being at home, I'll go with Sporting for the win.
Nashville and Orlando. What are the numbers looking like?
Nashville plus 167, Orlando City plus 160, and your draw plus 244.
That's a big number for a good team in Orlando. It is in Nashville. Nashville is coming off their first home win. They've got less rest. What's the draw again?
244.
Total toss-up here. And well, it's shaded slightly towards Orlando because of the home field bump.
That to me just sounds like a void.
Yeah, I think Orlando wins it. I just think they're the better team.
Yeah.
But I think Nashville, different in Nashville than in some of the other teams that we've talked about in the situation. Nashville is the best of all of them defensively. So when you get in this situation, you're playing a team that's better than you in Orlando. Nashville can sit back, play on the counter, soak up pressure, and then hit on the break. We've seen Orlando have some problems with that. I think Nashville can hurt Orlando more than some of these other situations. I do not know where this one goes, honestly. I think Nashville's got more of a chance than people are giving them, but I'm not sure how much confidence I have in them. And also, as Ricky Ricardo points out, Orlando's still proving who they are. So Orlando's a better team, but are they going to be able to show that every single match?
Right.
Don't know. And don't know if they have to rotate more. Don't know if the rotation that they did here is going to make them okay. I still have some questions about their depth, although they answered a good number of them on Saturday. I have questions about Nashville's depth, but I think they've shown a little bit. Dax McCarty got a good bit of rest on Sunday. No, I'm not going on this one at all. I'm just not. If the number was higher on Nashville, I would be motivated to throw a stinky juice box their way because I do think they can pull an upset here. But if I was actually really going to a shady bookmaker, I wouldn't touch this one. I don't have enough faith in it. The number's not big enough for Nashville to tempt me at the moment. Real Salt Lake and Seattle is the next one in Utah. What are the numbers?
9:30 Eastern, RSL's a plus 133, Seattle plus 199, and your draw is a plus 246.
You see those and you're like, wait a minute, why is Seattle such a big number? This is why. RSL have won 8 of their last 9 at home against Seattle in all competitions. Salt Lake have scored at least 2 goals in 8 of their last 9 home matches against Seattle in all competitions. They've kept a clean sheet in their last 3 home matches against Seattle in all competitions. They've dominated Seattle in Utah. Now things are a little different. But RSL did show a ton of heart in coming back and getting a result in Portland. That should give them a boost. Seattle is very, very good. Raul Ruidiaz looks like he might be okay here. There were some questions about if he'd be able to play. He trained. This is another one that I've got conflicting feelings, so I'm not touching it. If I had to pick a winner, I'd go RSL. Just because of the history.
Okay.
And I'm not touching it because I don't feel great about that because Seattle really scares me.
Yes.
Portland and LA Galaxy is the next one. What are the numbers?
10:30 Eastern, Portland plus 114, the Galaxy plus 204, and your draws a plus 287.
Portland's dominated the Galaxy in recent matches. I don't think that, stops here. I'm not sold on the Galaxy at all. I'm not sold on them being able to keep the goals down at all. Portland needs some bouncing back because they've had some bad results here lately. I think they do it against the Galaxy. I think Portland wins.
Give me a number, goal total.
3.
2.5 is minus 219. 3.5 is plus 116.
Nah, not even going there. Now, this is one that you might want to be looking at over numbers. LAFC and San Jose close us out. What are
11
the numbers?
o'clock? 11 o'clock Eastern, LAFC is a minus 172. San Jose is a plus 408, and your draws a plus 357.
LAFC have won their last 5 against San Jose. They've scored at least 3 goals in their last 3. They've really had San Jose's number. This isn't the same LAFC right now.
Yeah.
Atuesta, Vela, Zimmerman, all gone from your spine. BWP is there. Janela or Cifuentes is there for Atuesta. Jakovic is probably there for Zimmerman. San Jose wins. Yeah, okay. I know. I'm very much hating on LAFC right now, but I have no belief in them. That's a big number. I think San Jose wins. And I'm not the only one that the Twitch pitch is backing me here, but what are the over-under numbers at 4.5?
Plus 198.
What about at 5.5?
Plus 418.
Give me that one. Give me 4-2 San Jose. Chaos. Just give me that one. That'll be fun. That game could be absolutely stupid at 11 o'clock tonight.
Get your naps in after Atlanta and Inter Miami. Get a quick nap in so you can watch that one.
See, but this is the thing. This is what we always do. We see a game like that. We're like, ooh, this is going to be crazy. There's going to be so many goals. It'll be 0-0. Yeah, it'll be 0-0. There'll be like 4 red cards, which would still be fun.
Yeah.
But nothing will happen because we're expecting so much to happen. That's how it'll go.
And by the way, your total for a half a goal and 1 goal in this match, minus 6,667.
That's wild. Okay.
At 1.5 is minus 1,053.
No. We breezed through it in the DC Red Bulls match, but Stephen Goff tweeted out just a little bit ago. I saw it fly through the Twitch pitch. Felipe has torn an ACL in training this week. He is out for a long time, so that makes things a little more difficult for DC United these days. Paul Arriola's been out with an ACL. You've got Flores, Canals, Birnbaum, Briant, Fisher, Odoi-Atcham, all with injuries. Briant is the most likely to play. You're just piecing it together if you're DC. So, yeah, Red Bulls get the win there comfortably.
Yep.
Comfortably. Not even close. What's on the Twitch, or what's on the Twitter today? We'll come back to Twitch. What's on the Twitter today?
A couple of things dating back a little bit to the Eric Lopez discussion yesterday. And Tafka is bringing it forward. He says that the Lopez situation is a bad look. Loan Wyke back down with quarantine if need be.
Doesn't solve it. That doesn't fix anything. Wyke doesn't fix anything. Wyke is a supplemental roster player. You have a supplemental spot. If that was all you needed, then you could sign him there. Now you need the international slot. And if Wyke solves that, and you can sign Lopez to a supplemental spot. That's not the way that I read the tweet from Mike Conti when he was talking about salary cap situation. That's senior roster. Supplemental is not on that cap number. They don't count towards that cap number. So when you start talking about salary cap issues, you've got to move a senior roster guy. Now, you might do that and move Wyke to the twos because you need the international slot. But just moving Wyke does not solve it.
Tofka continues. He says Atlanta United 2 needs bodies on the back line, and he's third or fourth deep at right back / center back. Quarantine him if you have to.
Skip that because it doesn't fix the problem. No offense, Tofka. I mean, this roster stuff is very difficult, but we're talking about something that doesn't matter now. Wyke going doesn't open up a spot for salary cap issues for Eric Lopez.
And then Tofka's last sentence, he says, or work out a deal with Aberdeen for Gallagher. It seemed to be a prosperous move last year.
Let me double check that. I think that would potentially do it. I think Gallagher's moved into a senior roster spot now. He has. No, let me double check. No, he hasn't. So that wouldn't do it either. Gallagher's on a supplemental spot as well. So that wouldn't do it either. You would have to move, if we're talking cap issues, you would have to move one of, and I'm just going to run through the senior roster. Mo Adams, Ezequiel Barco, Edgar Castillo, Manuel Castro, Jurgen Damm, Franco Escobar, Brad Gazan, Emerson Heineman, Adam John, Alec Can, Jeff Lorenowitz, Brooks Lennon, Pity Martinez, Fernando Meza, Jake Mulroney, Eric Remedi, Miles Robinson, Mateus Osetu, Kubo Torres, Anton Walks. That's the senior roster. Now, senior roster that also takes up an international slot, as Eric Lopez would. Castro, Damm, Meza, Mulroney, Osetu, Walks. Wyke takes up an international slot, but again, he doesn't solve the cap situation.
Since it is a Wall Pass Wednesday, Nathan Pugh is in this morning, and he says, yeah, I'm not a fan of Amazon releasing new episodes of All or Nothing on a weekly basis. Binge it.
Yeah, I really generally in these things like to wait until everything's out and then binge watch it, but this was too good. I had to just jump straight in, so I'm on pins and needles for the next one, 100%.
Okay, so I need to catch up on all the episodes that are currently posted. I haven't been able to see any of them yet. So, so that's going to be part of my viewing habits whenever I can sit and actually turn to my left and watch the big TV in Office HD. Nathan also says, random carryover from yesterday along with the FAWSL today. The Ireland Rugby Football Union released their new kits last week, and the men modeled theirs. The women were modeled by models. Cauliflower ear is a real thing, but still fits the narrative from yesterday.
Yeah, that's stupid. Just like it was stupid when I think it was Adidas, because they did it not just with MLS women's kits, but they did it with all their kits, where they would do a women's version that was like super low cut. And for example, they had the Colombian women's national team wearing those for a minute. And it's like, no, this is not what you wear to compete. And this is embarrassing and stupid and misogynistic. So you just got to think in these situations. It's disrespectful and it needs to stop.
Bartimus Prime about the match. He says 3 points are vital tonight for Atlanta United, and the team will play 3 straight road games after this. This team cannot afford to drop more points at home if it wants to make a top 5 finish.
Yeah, this is a winnable game at home. I know home field's not what it used to be, but this is a winnable game. You need to find 3 points. You're in that tough spot, and maybe it's not quite as tough for Stephen Glass because he's the interim manager right now, not the main guy yet anyway. If that happens, great, but you've got to get results, and he's not necessarily building for what his team is going to look like next year, because right now it's not going to be his team next year, so he can focus on results. Now, there is a style component, and that's something a lot of fans have talked about and wanted to see, so you've got to balance the want for style and flair and attack with getting results, because you've bumped back far enough with the results you've had in terms of dropping games that you've got to pick up 3 points where you can. You just have to. So if it's ugly but you win, you win. You're getting into that zone. against Miami, I think things fall for you pretty good. Now, if they want to step up in high press, they're not as good at it as Orlando, first off, and it didn't really affect Atlanta massively against Orlando. It didn't affect Atlanta massively against Red Bulls. Even with those results, it didn't. You look back at the numbers, you look back at the chances, you look back at what was created. The pressing was not as disruptive as it's been in the past years. But I don't think Miami's going to have the legs for it, no matter what they're saying. Victor Ulloa is talking about we need to step up and press them higher, we need to do this, we need to do that. I don't know if they're going to have the legs for it because they don't have as much depth as other teams. They did the first time, I believe, in MLS history, the all 5 substitutions at one time in the second half in Nashville.
Fire wagon change.
In the 75th minute. They did that there. They've pretty much had to go with the same group over and over and over again. I think Atlanta can wear them down. I want, in this match, Atlanta to have a lot of possession, make Miami chase them, grind them into submission, and put them away in the second half. That's what I think is the best strategy for this, and I think that suits Atlanta's game at the moment. So this is a game that I think everything lines up to where Atlanta should be able to take care of business, but they have to eliminate the mistakes. They have to be locked in on set pieces. They've given up far too many goals off of set pieces this year. And they have to take care of business in the final third and play more fearlessly. Can't play scared in that zone of the field.
MLS Soccer in their preview has Robinson and Wen starting in their prospective starting 11.
Who? What?
Robinson up top.
Okay.
So it would be Robinson, Pellegrini, Morgan, and Pizarro as their front 4 for Miami. That's
Doesn't really change that much. It's Robinson in place of Carranza.
And then Wen and Trapp in the middle.
That would be a bold one because that's going to put Trapp by himself defensively a lot, which I think Mateus Rossetto has a field day if that's the case. Lee Wynn's been really good as an option off the bench. This is a projected lineup, by the way. Let's not say this is what they're going to do. Right. Lee Wynn hasn't started the season. He's been good off the bench in limited minutes, but he's not going to be able to play an 8 role for you. If he is, you're going to have some problems unless you're dominating possession, and Miami has not been a team that has dominated possession. If you're going to play an 8 like Lee Wynn, you have to have the ball for the majority of the time. Because if you don't, and you're asking him to defend a good bit, you're going to have some problems.
Their projected back 4 from left to right is Sweat, LGP, Reyes, and Figal.
That's what it's been.
But, yeah, so Robinson in place of Carranza, and Wynn was the other one that out of the lineup that we saw last time. Those were their two change suggestions or projections, however you want to phrase it.
I'm skeptical of that, just because I don't know if you can play Lee Wynn there. I think Lee Wynn would be far more likely as a replacement for Pizarro or Pellegrini if you want to play Pizarro out wide and as a number 10. If you play him as an 8, I think they're going to struggle defensively in a massive way.
Just for equal time, the Atlanta United projection from MLSsoccer.com, left to right at the back, Bella Walks, Miles, and Franco Escobar.
Makes sense.
Remedi, Hosechu, and Lorenowitz. And then top left to right, PT, Kubo, and Brooks Lennon.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Lennon going back to right wing, Escobar coming back in at right back. The question's the midfield. We've wondered about this, pretty much every match. So, could Jeff get that play? Yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all if Jeff Lorenowitz gets that start.
We are officially caught up on the Twitter, sir. What's going on the Twitch pitch?
All right, Twitch pitch. Y'all got time to ask some questions. Fire them off. We will get into that now. While you guys are firing questions off, we will see if there are updates on anything out of Europe. Looks like Jorge Messi and Bartomeu are still meeting. We haven't heard anything coming out of that. I haven't seen anybody leaving just yet. So, yeah. Oh, what's up, Uncle No Pockets? Share your questions from the Twitch pitch right now. You've got about 10 minutes or so before we get Mike Conti on the line and we talk deeper into Atlanta, Miami. Turner Kirby's been catching up on the show in the last couple of days. He says plain pasta is amazing. Often on college football Saturdays, he goes to his aunt's house here in Greenwood and cooks up a box of rotini and just eats it plain throughout the day of football. Turner Kirby, that's gross.
That's awesome.
Although he puts salt in the water, John. And he puts salt on the noodles before he eats it. So they're not really that plain. But it's still gross, Turner Kirby.
It is not gross.
That's gross. Like, that's not even putting butter on them. John, that's gross. He salts the pasta, but he's just eating, like, noodles with nothing. No butter, no sauce, no nothing. Turner, come on, man. You can do better. You can do better. Clayton Boss, Dom and Torres got to get a good run tonight. Torres starts, ? I think he could. I don't know if he can go much past 60, and that might even be a stretch, but I feel like that could be the wild card option tonight as Cubo Torres gets the start. He's looked okay in terms of getting to halftime and getting 45 minutes in. So, yeah, I'm there. I think it can work. Okay. Christopher Abel, any chance Matuidi starts tonight? No, but he could be there next week. That's the word. He's in South Florida. Diego Alonso said that he could be available starting next week, so we will see. Sean Vergara wants to know if he needs to get John headphones.
I don't know. Do I need headphones? I can hear you fine.
Well, you need a microphone, but we're still working on that.
And that's allegedly being shipped this month, according to...
This month? That's good to know.
Yeah, well, they're like the expected arrival date, September 1 through September 22. Okay. And how long ago did I order this thing?
It was a while ago. Yeah, next time I need to do more homework to put John down the right path. I had an expectation that maybe he would be looking at these shipping dates, and I don't know. Just saying. I should know better by now. Christopher Abel, I would love to see Jurgen Damm at right back, bombing up and down the flank. What do you guys think? I think he'd get found out defensively. As a wing back, if you went to a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, I feel better about it because of his work rate. But as a right back, it's another one where you would have to have all of the possession, and now Atlanta likes to have a lot of the possession. But in those moments you don't, could he defend well enough in a line of four as a right back? I don't see it yet, Chris. I think you're better off with him on the right wing and Lennon as the right back or a right wing option, or Franco Escobar as the right back option, because you've got guys who can get forward and support Dom. He can come back and help as needed, but it's not all on him defensively. I think that works a little bit better. Jason Nix, how many minutes for Barco tonight? I think 30 is the baseline. I would like, just because of the way I think this game will go and the way I think the game Saturday in Orlando will go, I would like to see Barco off the bench tonight and start in Orlando. So if that means you've got to limit him a little bit tonight to no more than 30, I'm okay with that. I want him on the field in Orlando because I think he can really hurt them down there in a game where you might not have as much possession, but you want him running at defenders, earning fouls, earning cards. You want him in that situation. So I'm going to Barco starting Saturday, off the bench tonight, probably no more than 30. Nick's also asked, does Heinman get in? I don't know where he's at. He's on the questionable list for tonight, so I don't know if he's ready to go. I'm assuming that since he didn't play last time, he's listed as questionable. He doesn't start, but how much he can go, I don't know. I'm not sure on that. Monteflo says about Jurgen Damm, not great defensively. He has played right back for Tigres, but not great defensively. I am getting unsubstantiated reports out of the Twitch pitch. Sorry, you guys are not tier 1 sources just yet, so I'm not trying to say that you're wrong, but I like when I see the sourcing here. PSG might have some issues with the COVID. Neymar test positive. That's in Lake Keep. But I think all of them went to Ibiza after the season ended in Champions League. So, yeah, this is what happens. I don't know. When does PSG play again?
Let's check with our friends with the juice boxes.
I can probably beat you.
Let's see. There's that. All right. So Ligue 1, juice boxes. Supposed to be a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, their first match was skipped in. They pushed it back because of playing in Champions League. So they didn't play week 1. Week 2, their game was supposed to get moved to September 10th.
That's the one with Lens right now, yeah.
And then they play again on the 13th. Later. Yeah. So. Are they going to play on the 10th with all of this? I'm going to say probably not.
No.
So we shall see. Yes, people want your microphone badly. So hopefully we will get that. Ricky, you said on Jorge Messi and anything out of him. I think this was said earlier that Messi's dad said it'd be difficult for him to stay. He ain't staying. Barcelona can put pictures out of the kits for this year with Messi in the front. He's not staying.
We love you, Messi.
He's not staying at all. Domer is fired up. He said, y'all are highly offending my Sicilian heritage with y'all's pasta takes. Ugh. My grandfather is rolling in his grave. I have my grandmother's giant wooden spoon if anyone needs recalibrating. That is correct. I don't have Sicilian heritage, but I'm offended for you, Domer. Tesco, does John still use mail order catalogs?
No.
Wow, you said that like you're really offended. When was the last time you used a mail order catalog?
Oh, God. Probably when I ordered the NFL sheet and pillowcase set from Sears when I was a kid. You remember that one?
Awesome.
I think so.
See? That's how long ago.
No, not see. No.
But I will say this. But I will say this. Every Tuesday here at the house, the over-under on the amount of catalogs that we get, and they all go to the boss, is usually about 7.5.
Okay.
There are some days where we will get 12 or 13 catalogs on a Tuesday, and they instantaneously go right in the recycle bin. But yeah, we still get catalogs here at the house. I honestly can't remember the last time that I've used one to order something. I mean, Omaha Steaks is something that I order, but I order that online. I don't go to their catalog. They send me stuff in the mail, and I'll look at it and go, ooh, and then I'll do it that way. So that's about as close as I get to catalogs, is if people send me an envelope in the mail.
Don't tell them about your cooking skills, or they might not send anything to you
anymore. No.
I mean, they make it easy for you, but don't. Yeah,
no.
Don't.
The boss either puts it in the oven, or we go and grill out back.
There's other things that are involved before it's just put in the oven. But I'm just saying.
True.
I mean, you don't know about these things.
You know, skillets and those kinds of things.
I'm just going to leave it there before you get yourself in trouble again. Christopher Abel, over-unders for the game today. Goals 3.5. You going over or you going under? Atlanta, Miami today.
Under.
Yeah, I'm going under as well. Yellow cards, 4.5.
Over.
I'm going under. Shots for Atlanta, 10.5.
Shots or shots on target?
Shots.
Over.
Yeah, I'm going over. Shots for Miami, 8.5.
Over.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'll go under. Minutes for Jurgen Damm, 24.5.
Over.
I might go under on that one.
I feel like I'm doing prize picks right now.
Minutes for Kubo, 59.5.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. Under.
Yeah, I'm going under. Total fouls, 21.5.
Total fouls, under.
Oh, I'm going over for sure. Not even close.
I'm thinking quality, not quantity.
Well, it's a quantity thing. Total fouls is total quantity. I don't know what you're talking about.
When it comes to cards.
I said total fouls, John. What are you talking about?
No, what I'm saying, I'm taking the card number and applying it, that it's not going to be just persistent infringement leading to a card. I think it's going to be boom card. I don't think it's going to be foul card.
I think there's going to be fouls and fouls and fouls and more fouls and more fouls and more fouls. We're not talking about cards. There's going to be a bunch of fouls. That's what I'm thinking. You're saying there's not going to be a bunch of fouls.
No, I think they're going to go straight to cards.
That has nothing to do with this, John. We're not talking about cards. Cards don't necessarily equal fouls. If you've watched MLS referees, you would know this by now. It's not about a like for like. It's not about being related necessarily. I think you're going to see both teams break up the rhythm of the opposition with fouls. I think there's going to be a lot of fouls. I think it's going to be one of those kinds of games. Does that result in cards? I don't know. We'll have to see. Guido Gonzalez is your center referee today. He is breaking into that next tier of regular MLS referees. He doesn't have a ton of experience in MLS, so it could go either way. I think it's clear that MLS wants games to be managed with fewer cards. The referees that they are pushing, the referees that are getting the big assignments, are the referees that don't throw as many cards. Now, some of them blow the whistle more than others.
Right.
But it's the cards I don't think they want as many shown in general, which I'm fine with. But there are certain things that you have to have cards for. In a game like this, I think there will be a lot of fouls. I don't know where the cards will go. I don't know how they'll go, and I don't know how that'll be managed.
Okay, so what was the foul number again?
21.5. No, don't just change it for that. I'm just asking for your explanation, because your explanation had nothing to do with your decision.
Yeah. No, I think that I agree with you that there will be a lot of breakups of play. But I don't think that the whistles and the foul calls are going to have 4 whistles and fouls leading up to a card. I just think it's going to be, and I think that getting all of the cards early will slow that number of fouls down.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Both these teams foul a lot. Both these teams draw a lot of fouls. There's going to be a lot of fouls in the game. I don't care about the cards. Right. Coutinho is back at Barcelona. Probably the Messi replacement. Hashtag Messi replacement.
Hashtag, drink.
Felipe Coutinho. Lots of blame for the Brits in Ibiza and getting everybody sick. Maybe. Who does LGP get into an argument with first, the ref or Pity Martinez?
I don't know if he gets into an argument with Pity, though. I think it would have to be the ref by default.
Yeah, I think the ref for sure, because, LGP's never met a ref that he didn't want to argue with. That's for sure.
Right, yeah.
Sean Vergara is pointing out microphones for you that you can get on September 4th. So, just saying.
I just have this vision of LGP going.
He always does that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That'll be leading to that first run-in with the center ref.
Yep. Let's see. So lots of different talk about different things. Wildchara says Miami and Atlanta are pretty similar right now. Don't know what to expect. I think Atlanta's a better team. They just have to perform better to get there. Who gets a card first, LGP or Franco Escobar?
Escobar.
I'll go the other way. I go LGP.
Okay. I admit, to me, that's a toss-up question.
That's absolutely a toss-up. It could go either way. All right. Tell us about our good friend Steve Apolinsky in Decatur, GA.
I could do that. Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here in the SDH network. Wrongful death and serious injury attorneys, over 30 years of experience, over $40 million in judgments for their clients in Georgia and Alabama. If this is a conversation that you think you need to have, a couple different ways that you can do it with Steve. Shoot him an email directly at Steve, S-T-E-V-E, at aa-legal.com. If you're just looking for answers, you can get those 24/7, 365 and a quarter. Thank you, Chris Hutchison. By going to the website, aa-legal.com, you hit the enter button, or whatever button advances things on your favorite device. Pop-up window pops up, because that's what pop-up windows do. They pop up. You can have an instant discussion with someone the second that you hit the enter button. You can get your answers that way, or you can give them a call, get a free consultation at 404-377-9191. Recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend Magazine. Top 100 firms in this here state of Georgia for clients in Georgia and Alabama, wrongful death and serious injury attorneys. The website for Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, is aa-legal.com.
Nicely done. All right, let's see how virtual producer Jack does with this one.
All right, Jack.
See if Mike Conti joins us and John doesn't fade away into the abyss.
Yeah, this is me.
As John was trying to be funny, he kind of faded away into the abyss for a minute.
Yes.
There he is.
Oh, I hear him.
What's up, Mike?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Doing good. You had something that got everybody all Twitter yesterday on Twitter with your Eric Lopez tweet and some information.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's anything that most of us don't know already. As one person commented, duh, we know this already. So I guess it wasn't that much of a scoop, at least in his eyes. But
there was an element to it that I don't think people have realized was information we didn't have.
Oh, well, no, I mean, according to at least one Twitter user, not the case. But anyhow.
The salary cap part of it is what jumped out to me.
Right, yeah. And here's basically what happened. Carlos went on 92.9 the game yesterday. And, he was asked by, I guess it was Mike Bell, what's going on with Eric Lopez? And, do you have any information on when he's going to be able to play? And I think it's been pretty widely known. And, in fact, I had someone reach out to me last night claiming that reach out to me privately claiming that I was actually reporting old information. But I think it's been pretty widely known that the ability to get Lopez into first-team games has been complicated. He's been training with the first team, but the ability to get him into first-team games has been a problem because right now, the hope was to loan him to the first team, and there's a couple obstacles in play. Basically, what Carlos said on the radio yesterday was that when they signed Eric Lopez, the hope was that he could play for the first team in U.S. Open Cup and the CONCACAF Champions League, where there are not salary cap restrictions on your roster.
You've got the biggest thing is you've got those short-term call-ups that
exactly
it's a different bar. You can do those for Open Cup, Champions League, for friendlies. You can do the short-term call-up. You can't do the short-term call-up for league games unless it's the emergency situation with a certain number of field players being unavailable or a certain number only being available.
Absolutely correct. So, when they signed Eric Lopez, the U.S. Open Cup was still going to happen. CONCACAF Champions League had not been canceled. Now it sounds like CONCACAF Champions League, based on what Carlos said on the radio yesterday, is very much in doubt, even though we've seen reports to the contrary.
A while ago.
And Open Cup's not going to happen.
Yep.
So that takes away one avenue to get them into games. But what Carlos also said was that this is why I reached out, because I want to get clarification, because Carlos was, I think, just a tiny bit unclear on the radio, and I wanted to get it clarified. Carlos had made a remark on the radio about how they felt they had permission from the league office to execute this plan when they signed Torres. Mm-hmm. And then Carlos said the protocols changed. And I think that's in reference to it not being allowed for USL players to go up into an MLS roster and for MLS players to go down into a USL roster, part of the health and safety protocols. Because, again, those two leagues right now are operating under different COVID protocols. Right. Doesn't necessarily mean that Atlanta United's first and second teams are operating under different protocols, but the leagues are. So right now it is not allowable for Lopez to bounce back and forth between the first and second team. He's got to either stay up or stay down. And then, yes, there's the salary cap aspect as well. So basically what Carlos said, and when I tried to clarify, is that unless Atlanta United not only opens up a spot, but finds the salary cap space, they're not going to be able to get Eric Lopez into the first team. And that's basically what we know right now. I think some people have turned this into an indictment of the way that the club was communicating with Lopez and his agent, and I don't necessarily think that's accurate or fair. It sounds like something changed between the time Lopez was signed and the time they were ready to put Joseph Martinez on season-ending injury and create this spot for him. So that's where it is right now. And I know it's confusing. I know it's frustrating. Carlos said it's enormously frustrating for the club. I can only imagine how frustrating it is for the player. But I've seen some people say, well, just cut this guy and you'll open up the spot for it. Well, no, it's not that simple. Just because you cut a guy doesn't mean the salary cap goes away. The also salary issue goes away. And furthermore, I was unable to confirm this, but I know it's been reported elsewhere that you would also have to find an international spot.
You would.
I thought Atlanta United may have already had an international slot spare, but I'm not sure. I've heard that reported a number of different ways. I didn't get that confirmed from the club yesterday.
So a couple of things that I take out of it, and this is a little bit of trying to piece things together, because I heard the interview too. I thought it was, look, this is hard to explain, period.
Yes.
I thought Carlos did as good of a job as you could in a soundbite situation to try to answer it. I absolutely sensed the frustration that he thought it was going to be good for him to play for the first team when he was signed. That was what the information he was getting from MLS, because Carlos talked about how everything goes through MLS. He mentioned the season-ending injury replacement as part of this process, and the league had to approve it. It sounds like somewhere in there, the league did not approve Eric Lopez as the injury replacement signing. But then they still thought that they were going to be able to use him in first-team games, and he mentioned the other competitions for sure. We remember what Frank said in Orlando about the idea that he would be able to play with the first team. I keep going back to those comments very early on in all this, before all the protocols were in place, as everybody was figuring out MLS and USL getting back to action, that there was conversations about relaxing the movement between the two teams, and it ended up being the opposite. It's even more restricted because there's no movement. Nobody's moving guys between the two teams. And Carlos, I think, made it clear that that's because you can't. It's not because it's hard because of the protocols. It's you're not allowed to. So that's not even a possibility. Now,
and I think the frustration and the fact that Carlos is speaking so openly about it, I think, reflects the frustration. I mean, Carlos is generally pretty.
Matter of fact, he's laid back. He's just
I was going to say he doesn't usually share things like this,
right?
Yeah.
Internal machinations within the club. So I think the fact that he was willing to talk about this yesterday kind of indicates the frustration. And, again, this goes back to if there was some kind of either protocol change or the league told the club one thing and then went back and said another, that's an enormous problem. And it's got to be incredibly frustrating again for the club and the player. And it probably requires a little bit more of a transparent explanation from the league. But I think the bottom line is Eric Lopez is not going to play for the first team this year, barring some kind of, sale, really, because you couldn't just trade or you couldn't just cut a guy. It would have to be a trade or a sale because you've got to open up the corresponding salary space.
Yeah, the cutting doesn't open up the space because
right.
You'd still be on the hook. The trade would, or a sale would. That's a different conversation. And the other thing that I think has been missed in this, because there's been a lot of speculation about, well, you could get rid of this guy, you could get rid of this guy, you could do this. because it's salary cap related, and this was to me the breaking news out of what you tweeted. He would go into the senior roster. You can't add him as a supplemental player because that's not cap space. Supplemental spots are separate from the cap space. Mm-hmm. You have an open supplemental spot. You don't have an open international slot, but it has to be a senior roster spot that you have to open because it's cap related. That's the important element of it. So that takes it down to, instead of 29 guys you're talking about moving somebody, it's one of 20 that you have to open up a spot for, which could happen. This window's open for a long time, but it's not available right now.
Yeah, so I mean that's it. Kind of is what it is. And as some people said on Twitter last night, I mean it's just one more thing that has happened in this year of 2020. It's been a very frustrating year. It's been a very complicated year. No one has gotten anything that they've wanted out of this year. It's just it stinks in every way imaginable. And I think that the person who ends up really suffering the most, obviously, is Eric Lopez. Yep. I mean, he's a young man who hasn't really played a whole lot professionally. I'm hoping that the time that he's getting in training is going to help him. But as you guys know, nothing really is a substitute for playing games, playing matches. So it's an unfortunate situation for the player. And I hope that it doesn't really hamper his development and his growth too much because, this is not what anyone expected.
No. The other thing Carlos said that's important is this is a long-term play. You didn't go get, like, Cubo Torres, different conversation than Eric Lopez. Right. Lopez is under a long-term deal. You went and got him for the future. You expect him to develop into a very important player. That's going to take some time. This wasn't let's go get him to play right now, and that's what we need him for, and we'll see everything else out as we get there. He's a good long-term purchase. Yeah.
Precisely. Exactly right. So, I mean, it kind of is what it is right now. I still think, we talked about this after the match on Saturday, that once you can get your group pretty close to what your best 11, your first 11 is going to be, I still think that's going to be a competitive team, a team that can compete in the Eastern Conference of this league. I mean, I'm not – no one knows for sure if you're an MLS Cup winning team because that's just an extremely high level that is hard to judge really until the playoffs start. But I think with their first 11, which we haven't really seen yet, we haven't really seen that first 11 group as it is right now without Joseph and, with Cubo Torres in for him. We haven't seen that group yet. So I think there is a lot of, rush to judgment after the win over Nashville that I didn't necessarily agree with. I thought people were overly optimistic based on what they saw against Nashville. I think people are being overly pessimistic based on what's been seen against Orlando because, again, we don't know what this is going to look like once you have Jürgen Damm and Cubo Torres each playing 90 minutes. Once you get Barco back and they're playing 90 minutes, once you get Escobar back and they're playing 90 minutes, once you get Heineman back and they're playing 90 minutes. I mean, you have some guys out there, some guys who started the match on Saturday that were not brought in to this club to be consistent 90-minute players. They're filling in for injuries and suspensions right now, and it's been tricky. It's been difficult. So, I want to see that first group, that best 11 group, play against a team like Orlando, or once you get out of the scheduling pod, play against a team like Toronto or Philadelphia or Columbus, and let's see what we've got then. Because right now, I just think there's been too much jumping to conclusions, both positively after Nashville and negatively after Orlando. You're never as good as you think you are when you're good. You're never as bad as you think you are when you're bad.
So, Mike, you mentioned a couple of names, so let's get into the match for tonight. What kind of a rollout would you anticipate for guys like Jürgen Damm and Cubo Torres tonight?
I don't think Damm plays much, if at all. Kubo is interesting because I asked Glassy about that on Monday. I asked him how close is he to giving you 90 minutes, and Glassy said something interesting. He said, we probably aren't going to know that until we give him a chance to start. And when he starts, he might show us that he's able to play for 90 minutes. And Glassy also said he's very much looking forward to having that be a possibility, whether it be Wednesday or Saturday or sometime down the line. And then he also mentioned, the possibility of playing either Kubo as a single striker or as one of a group of strikers, which I also thought was kind of interesting. So I think there's real potential. I would not be surprised if Kubo Torres is in the starting 11 tonight. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, I'm there with you on that one.
I also wouldn't be surprised if he was not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I could see it going either way. I think this team really needs Kubo Torres because you have seen, and match condition has played into this a little bit, but you've seen how much different the attack looks when Kubo Torres is playing. But I would also say this, that, playing and starting Kubo Torres is not going to matter if you aren't giving him service. And one of the things that I think Adam John has suffered from is that he's not getting service. A lot of people are kind of indicting Adam John for that. He's just, I don't think they have a real clear direction or plan to give him service right now. Adam John, guys, this stat startled me getting ready for this match tonight. Adam John has played about 350 minutes in the league year. Do you know how many shots he has in those 350 minutes?
3?
2?
1.
Wow.
Jeez,
One, not even. It was a shot on target, but we're not talking about shots on target. We're talking about shots. He's played. This is your striker who has played 350 minutes and he has 1 shot. That's a problem. You're not giving your striker service. And Jason can probably better explain than I what the breakdowns have been there, but. If you're going to put Kubo Torres in the starting 11 tonight, you got to feed him. You got to serve him. And I think we saw at the end of the Nashville match, there was a really conscious effort to feed him and to give him service. But, that is something that really stands out to me looking at where the team is right now statistically, that I don't disagree with the concept, the idea of giving Adam John the number of starts that they've given him, but what's the point if you aren't going to give him service? So that's something that I'll be curious to see evolve. But yeah, I think there's a real shot, a real opportunity that Kubo Torres is going to start tonight. I think there is, the almost guarantee that Franco Escobar will be back tonight.
Yeah.
But I think, when it comes to Jurgen Damm, if Escobar is back in, I think you're pushing Brooks Lennon up, but you're keeping him in. Obviously, Brooks Lennon, who has played every minute of every match this year, has the full trust and confidence of Glassy and the technical staff. It's not a coincidence that he's played that much. So until Jurgen Damm is fully 90 minutes fit, and it sounds like he's not there yet and may not be for a little while longer, I'm not taking Brooks Lennon out right now. No. So Dom could come in as a sub, absolutely. But, with Escobar guaranteed to go back in tonight, I just don't see room for Dom yet in the starting 11 in his current state of fitness.
Yeah, there were some questions about your thoughts on Dom. I think you answered that. I also think the Orlando game on Saturday, the upcoming one, affects the lineup tonight a little bit because they're two very different kinds of matchups. Barco is the one that I've had in this kind of conversation. I think he's more important in Orlando on Saturday. He's not 90 minutes fit. I think that's a safe guess right now. I don't think he could give you 150 minutes in both of these games, and you'd rather have him available for more of Saturday. So I don't think he starts tonight. I don't think he plays a ton. I'm with you on Kubo, though.
I just want to interject on Barco. The way Barco looked on Saturday, it looked like he was a long way away from 90 minutes fit. He looked rusty to me. And
early on, he did. I felt better by the end. I did. I thought it was. I thought you could almost see the rust coming off of him a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm with you. You want to start him on Saturday.
Yeah.
And again, you're looking at these next 4 matches. I'll push back on what some people have been saying, that they need to get 9 points out of a possible 12. I think this playoff format is way more forgiving than what people realize.
It is.
Right now, the playoff line is at 1 point per match. 1 point per match is the playoff line. You want to be safe and get to like 1.25 points per match. That's fine. That means you need 5 out of these next 4. Now, granted, you're in the easiest part of your schedule right now. When you go to Phase 4, or whatever the heck they're going to call it, you're not going to be playing Miami and Nashville anymore. So it is important to take advantage of your opportunities to get 3 against Miami and Nashville. But, I mean, based on what we saw this past Saturday, I don't think you can feel good about your chances of getting a result at Orlando, in front of fans, by the way, with a rotated team. So if you have to rotate a little bit tonight with an eye on Saturday, I'm all for that. I think Barco's a big part of that plan.
Yeah. Back to Kubo real quick. I think the way Glassy put that is important and maybe needs a little more clarification, and especially the Adam John element too. For me, Kubo has looked like he is comfortable with the players around him more. John has not. Looking at the body language of the other players, it seems like Kubo, his movements off the ball, the way he plays, fits them better. He makes the moves they expect, even though he hasn't been there very long. That still hasn't developed with Adam John. There were multiple times that I thought Pitti was frustrated because he didn't get the movement from John that he was looking for. Kubo will try to get in behind, whereas Adam John wants the ball played to his feet and then have you run off of him. Things like that it hasn't clicked with Adam John. Kubo, we saw him play 15, then 30. He hasn't looked tired. He's looked pretty fresh for both of them. And wherever that baseline is that, okay, we can give him the start, I think what Glassy's hinting at here and getting at is we're very close to that. And once you get him into a starting position, then he's thinking differently. When he's got 30 minutes, he's leaving everything on the field. When he's starting, and he could go 90 potentially, you're thinking a little bit about how you manage your movement. You're maybe not chasing that ball that you have no chance to get to. You're managing your lung capacity a little bit in this. So can he go further than we think he could? Potentially, yeah. If he can manage his minutes a little bit and manage his workload, he absolutely can. But you got to get him on the field to get to that point. And I think he's, if not there tonight, I think he's there Saturday.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's really, really close. But it sounds like there's just way more optimism right now on Kubo than Dom. As far as just ability to go 90. And again, I think a lot of people have forgotten that, Dom or Kubo wasn't playing a ton before the pandemic, but he was at least playing a little. Dom hardly played at all.
Right.
Going up to the shutdown. So, I've been lurking on Reddit a little bit this week, and I've seen some people have the argument about, what's Glassy waiting for? Let's release the Hounds. So you got to be so careful. It's absolutely pointless to make the investment of time and money that you've made in Jurgen Damm if you're going to rush him out before he's ready and make him vulnerable to injury. It's a difficult process, and it's a tested process that this physio staff and physio staffs all over the world kind of adhere to. So I don't think it's a matter of the club being too conservative. I think they have to be careful because they know how important Jurgen Damm is going to be if this club's going to make a run in, November and hopefully December.
Who gets a card first tonight, Mike? LGP or Franco Escobar?
Oh, boy. Franco, probably.
It's a toss-up.
Franco's just the thing that frustrates me about Franco, and it's the same with LGP. It's the same with anyone who has a propensity to get cards at a high clip. Is I just feel like there's no governor on guys like that. Like they either run so hot that they don't have control of their temper. And they leave themselves exposed pretty quickly. So I don't know. I mean, I bet both of them probably get cards tonight. To answer your question, I mean, it's just the players they are. I loved LGP when he was here. He's a great guy, and it really helped this team win MLS Cup in 2018. I thought he was a unjust omission from best 11 in 2018, and really could have been, in that conversation last year. But he had a lot of rash challenges, and he did a lot of things that would make you just kind of throw up your hands and scream. And Franco does that too. But that's part of the fun of having players like that, is they're going to do things that are going to drive you nuts every now and then. The question is, can they make up for it on the other end? And with both of those players, they absolutely have.
We got a busy day, Mike. What's the rest of the schedule looking like?
Yeah, 2 o'clock we'll have stoppage time in the 92.9 The Game Facebook page, and then I think we are on at 6:30 tonight on 92.9 The Game with Five Stripes Countdown, and we'll be on before that on Atlanta United's Facebook and other social channels with the AT&T Countdown to Kickoff as well. I think we're interviewing Darren Eales tonight, by the way, during the Countdown to Kickoff.
Very cool. Do we know kickoff time?
Great question. No, I don't. Someone asked me that on Twitter last night. It's a really good question, because when FS1 does matches, they typically kick off around 25 past the hour.
Yeah.
When they do the 2.5 hour window. And I don't know what they have set for tonight.
And Miami's game notes had Lawless and Rob Stone on the broadcast tonight. I don't know if they're going to be on site, but that usually means they're doing a pregame show.
Yeah.
So, John and Stu are calling the game, but they had Lawless and Rob Stone in the game notes. So I am guessing. I don't know this for sure, and as soon as I find out, you guys know I'll tweet it. But my guess is the kickoff will probably be in the neighborhood of. It won't be any earlier than 7:08. We know that, but. Right. It probably will be in that 7:20 to 7:25 range. It's a really good question. And by the way, I mean, it's something that I know frustrates and confuses a lot of the TV viewers, and a lot of viewers on Saturday got frustrated with Univision. It is tough. Like ESPN, when they say it's a 8 o'clock broadcast, they're usually kicking right around then. Fox and Univision do it differently, and I know that confuses some viewers. But as soon as I find out, I'll send out a tweet tonight.
Awesome. Well, we'll be talking here in a little bit, and rest up your voice. We got a long day.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy day. Looking forward to it. I think this is going to be a fun game tonight. I think kind of like Saturday, but hopefully in reverse. There's a potential where we're going to get a lot of goals scored in this match tonight. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Same here. I think it's going to be a fun one. These two teams kind of match up to lend itself to that. Looking forward to it. See you here soon.
All right, talk to you too. See you guys.
Be good, Mike.
All right, make sure you're following him, Mike Conti 929 with that game time kickoff. We'll probably find out once we get to the booth. Sometimes we get the rundown a little bit earlier, but usually we find out once we get into the building. And we are hoping to have Darren Eales on that AT&T Countdown to Kickoff, and we'll ask him about Eric Lopez and see if he can give us any more information on how everything shook out with that, because I know it's something a lot of people have been concerned with. I honestly think a little bit too concerned with, but it's a situation for the long term that we just want to try to get a little more information. So we'll see what he can give us on that. Let's see if virtual producer man can get Doug Robertson on the line.
All right, Jack, let's see if you can go 2 for 2 here.
Yeah, he did pretty good. He almost lost John last time, which would have been horrifying, but it did not happen. So hopefully we'll be good here. Hello, Doug. How are you?
How are y'all?
We are good. You are live on Soccer Down here. Thanks for the time.
What?
Appreciate it. What you up to, Doug?
Looking at stats on fbref.com.
I like the fbref.com. I've been really hopping into it because, I like the Opta stuff. I like whoscored.com. That's always been my go-to. But Football Reference, which if you guys out there listening, if you're sports fans, there's baseball reference, there's basketball reference, American football reference. Great stat source. They've done that for MLS, but for a lot of leagues. And they go deeper into some stuff that you can't get from the Opta numbers that I'm really liking.
Well, I don't get access to Opta. And WhoScored.com I find can be really hard to navigate.
At times, yeah.
To find what you're looking for. But here, I just tweeted this. Here's one of the more odd stats that I think I've probably ever seen. Pity Martinez this season, according to FBref, has completed just one of 21 short passes this season.
Yeah, the short passes 21. Thing. Now, that's something that they do a little bit differently than like the numbers on Who Scored with passes, because they'll go on FBref, they'll go short, they'll go medium, they'll go long. The short passes, I think a lot of times we'd think, there's going to be a ton of short passes. They define it as really short. They break them up a little bit more than I thought. And the long passes are not quite as long as I think Who Scored.
It's fewer than 5 yards.
Fewer than 5 yards. So a very short pass, which doesn't happen super often. The long passes on FBref are 25 yards or longer. I think Who Scored broke it up at like 40 yards. So it's changed a little bit of my mindset on all of that. But yeah, that's one of those like weird little numbers. You start thinking back, okay, why is that the case? Why has that not happened? And what's wrong here?
Yeah, it's really bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's plausible explanations, lack of chemistry, the stat is wrong, or just a lot of turnovers. So I don't know. It's a weird one.
It's a strange one. Go ahead, John.
All right. So with this match tonight, what concerns you the most about Inter Miami? Is there anything in particular, or is there a list of things that you've been staring at getting ready for this one?
It's not really anything that concerns me about Inter Miami. I mean, it's the concerning, because Atlanta United is at home, is why Inter Miami doesn't concern me a great deal. But it's just a laundry list of Atlanta United things that are concerning, in my opinion. I mean, Inter Miami, I think, has a lot of scoring talent. I know it's only scored more than one goal once this season, but it seems like it's capable of scoring many goals every game. I think you'll probably see a vast difference in their starting lineup for this game compared to their last game because of how well their subs played when they came on. I think Diego Alonso might roll the dice with some of those guys just to try to spark his team. But it's the things that Atlanta United isn't doing that I think are going to determine the result tonight.
We have a little help from you in the Twitch pitch. In the schedule at the end of your article, I guess the last one you posted, the September 9th game was not added.
Yeah,
there,
I know. It's in some of them, and for some reason it's disappeared in some. So I've gone back in and added it. So thank you to that person. We have a new CMS.
Yeah.
And for some reason, sometimes when I save stuff, that will save, and other times it won't. I don't quite understand why, but I've gone back in and added it. So anyway,
those reschedules can get really weird.
It just doesn't like reschedules and CMSs.
It's true.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because I made sure I went in and added it, and I was cutting and pasting from that one template, but it just kind of disappeared for whatever reason.
So watching Miami and Nashville on Sunday night, when you saw Miami, John asked you what you were worried about. What did you see in the way Miami plays that you think Atlanta can exploit?
You know, they make mistakes on defense. There are definitely some holes in their defense. They haven't found a left back that they're comfortable with. They've tried Mikey Ambrose. They've tried another player whose name I forget. Breck Shea came on in the final few minutes of that Nashville game, and I thought, played serviceably well. So they have holes on the left side. I think they're still trying to figure out their center back pairing tandem. Obviously, they think they're weak at kind of DM, CM, so they went and got Blaise Matuidi, who may start against Atlanta United when they go back to Fort Lauderdale next week. So there are holes in their defense, but really, I mean, Atlanta United hasn't shown it's capable of exploiting any defense in the past, however many games now, 7 games, 5 to 6 games. So, I just don't know if they'll be able to do it.
I asked Mike this question, and I'll ask it to you as well. Who gets a card first, LGP or Franco Escobar tonight?
I'm not convinced Franco is going to start. People keep arguing with me about that. It wouldn't surprise me if he does, but it'll be LGP, just because it's his old stomping grounds. He's going to try to replicate the good memories.
So then, who gets under his skin to get that card out of him? Do you think?
Cubo Torres. I think he'll get the start. I mean, I posted my starting 11 yesterday, and I included Torres, I included Jurgen Damm, I included Heinemann, I included Lennon, I included Barco, regardless of their health, because as I wrote, and I don't know if anybody actually read it, the top of it anyway, if Atlanta United doesn't get at least 9 points from these next 4 games, I think it's more probable than possible that it will not make the playoffs. And to get 9 points from these next 4 games, it's got to score goals. So in my opinion, it's got to get everybody out there that can score goals or has shown they'll score goals and take advantage of these 5 subs. I don't care if Torres and Heinemann and Dom can't go 90 minutes. You've got 5 subs. Use them all. Play them for 60 minutes and then pull them off the field, or just see how long they can go. But they've got to get players on that can score goals, and those are the only guys that have shown they can score right now.
Well, then, leaving fitness out of it, what would your starting 11 be for the best situation for this team? Let's take tonight out of it. Take the schedules out. If you're in a must-win game tomorrow to keep your season alive, what's your starting 11?
Torres at striker, Barco central midfield, Dom on the right. I would probably put Brooks Lennon at right fullback over Franco, and I know people don't like that, but Brooks has already scored 1 goal and probably should have scored 3 this season. He's getting himself into good spots. The center backs, are we talking about healthy players or not healthy players right now?
Everybody but Joseph, because we know he's out. So anybody assuming that they're available, yeah.
Miles and Meza at center back.
Mm-hmm.
Bello at left back.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff at defensive midfielder, with Emerson ahead of him. And then left midfielder, I know everyone thinks that Pity Martinez should be in the lineup. I guess I'll put him in. I can't. We've got a large enough sample size to know we just don't know what you're going to get from Pity Martinez consistently. And if it's a must-win game, according to your criteria, I don't know that I start him. It's too many turnovers. It's too many lapses right now. And if it's a must-win game, as you say, then I don't know if I want to take that gamble.
So let's see. I'm counting here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So then if you're not going to take that gamble, who do you put on that side?
Oh, that remains to be determined. I do not know. I'd have to think about that some more.
Okay.
Maybe Barco on the left and Rossetto in the middle, but Rossetto has gotten 2 starts, looked okay against Nashville, and then I didn't think really did a whole lot against Orlando. This is just a weird team, man. It's just a weird team.
It's been a weird year. I mean,
yes.
You haven't been able to build to anything. And I think as we've learned from previous seasons, this is a team and a club, and a lot of it's down to style of play and possession and building out of the back that gets better over time. And you haven't had consistent time. It's like you get a couple games here, it breaks up. You get a couple games here, it breaks up.
Yeah, but I mean, that's true of everyone. So I
know.
I know. I can't let Atlanta United off with that kind of reasoning.
No, the reason I'm saying I want to make this clear, it's not that Atlanta's had to do something other teams haven't. It's Atlanta's style of play is not what everybody's playing. That's the difference I'm saying here. Because if you're playing a defend and counter style, you can play once every 3 weeks and it doesn't really affect you as much. There's no rhythm involved. If you're playing where you want a lot of the ball, you're going to struggle to have consistency. I think we're seeing that with those kinds of teams this year.
Yeah, I was telling, I can't remember who I was telling yesterday. It's just I'm kind of over the excuses or the reasons that are being put out for why the team isn't playing well. I just, if your mentality is to win now and to win every trophy, which the team has said many, many times, then the stuff about, it's breaks in the season and we haven't had enough time to work with the players. Well, sorry, but that's not a reason to me. I mean, these guys are pros. They should know how to make adjustments within a game. For example, when you're facing a midfield you weren't expecting, which has twice been used as an excuse for losses. The fitness stuff I don't really get anymore because it's not like Torres and Jurgen Damm have been sitting on their rear ends for the past few months. They've been training. And you're in a position where points are at a premium because the schedule is not going to get any easier. I mean, Atlanta United is in the easiest block of 4 teams, I think, other than maybe what Toronto was in MLS. And Atlanta United has clearly had the easiest schedule of all teams in Major League Soccer from the start of the season. I mean, you've already played Nashville twice, Cincinnati twice. You're about to play Miami for the first time. It's not going to get any better than that. Now coming down the pipe could be, Philadelphia. It could be NYCFC, which I know isn't playing well, but it's still tough. It could be Columbus. It could be Toronto. It could be Montreal. That's why I said if they don't get at least 9 from these next 4 games, there's a real possibility they're not going to make the playoffs, even a 10-team playoff.
When it comes to this team so far this season, who has impressed you the most? Lennon?
I'm not trying to be mean, but that's a pretty low bar right now. Bello, probably. Okay. I'm glad that he's gotten consistent starts. This was supposed to be the case last season, and the injuries really held him back. I know he had a rough MLS tournament, but I think he's shown that he's learned from that with his tracking and everything. He had a good track back and break up against Orlando City. I think Matt Doyle even pointed that out with video on Twitter within the game. So he's been a really good bright spot. Other than that, it's just, it hasn't been a lot. Lennon, I think, has played well. Everyone keeps crapping on him. But you look at the stats, and he's gotten into attacking positions pretty well. And defensively, he can't be blamed for any of those goals against Orlando City. He wasn't even on the field for one of them, It wasn't him that let the defender run past him on the first goal. And the third goal, I don't even know if he may have still been in the lineup at that point. But it was on the other side of the field from him. I guess Lennon. But it's been an odd year for this team.
All right, let's get into the predictions for tonight. I'm curious to see where you're thinking on this one. We've got some from the SDH collective that we'll start with. Nick is the bringer of doom, as always. That's his role these days. 2-0 Miami, according to Nick. He's an angry man these days. Nick's very upset, so that's where I'm going to go with that. Jarrett goes 1-1. John, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go 2-0 the other way from Nick. I think that Pitti gets one, and I think that Kubo gets one. I think it's 2-0, and I think that it's a clean sheet for Brad Gazan.
Okay. Doug, what about you?
What are the standings?
That's a Jay.
I have no idea at this point.
We need that answer, Josh.
All the stops and starts have ruined our standings as well.
Well, I assume that I've already left the field a couple of times. Just because you have to adopt that winning mentality. I'm starting on the front foot, to borrow a favorite phrase of the team I cover, which hasn't happened yet, except for one game or 2 games. I'm going to go a 1-1 draw. Again, I think that's what I picked for Orlando too. So I'm adopting the John Nelson Black Velvet Driving Slipper Lock of the Week 1-1 tactic for this game, simply because Atlanta United is not scoring. It's not stopping people from scoring, and Inter Miami is kind of the same thing.
That's not the driving slippers lock of the week. That's 2-1, and that's what I'm going with.
We've got to come up with Doug's favorite piece of clothing
that
would apply to the 1-1 draw.
I'm going 2-1. I will go with the driving slippers lock of the week. Atlanta 2-1. I think it'll be a back-and-forth game. Two teams that I think set up to be able to hurt the other one in a lot of ways. But I think Miami is not good enough defensively, and I don't think they're deep enough. I am really curious, like Doug said, you had some players come off the bench for Miami and played 15 minutes in Nashville and looked pretty good. Breck Shea looked really good, actually, and there's been some speculation that he gets a start tonight. I don't know if they change Julian Carranza for Robbie Robinson, if that really affects much. I don't think they have a lot of options defensively, which is where they could probably use them. They'll find something off a set piece because Atlanta set piece defending has been really poor this season, and that's one of the number one things that has to change for me.
I mean, Orlando could have scored 3 goals off set pieces. They missed 2 open chances.
Yeah. It's about a quarter of the goals this season. I think it can go as high as a third if you want to include the first goal down in Mexico City that was a set piece that was cleared, but then a bomb from distance that was scored. Giving up a lot of goals off set pieces. I think Miami finds one of those, but I think you can get behind that holding midfield that just isn't very good defensively. Will Trapp, Victor Ulloa, whatever options you go with right now in the holding midfield, I don't think they can shut down Atlanta's attack, and that's where Atlanta will hurt them through the middle. So I think it's 2-1. I do think Kubo gets a goal, and man, I kind of like Brooks Lennon finding another goal because I think he'll be in on the right wing. I do think Escobar will come back into the lineup because he's fresh, and we'll see. I mean, this year's weird. Who knows? It's a strange one each game to game to try to predict because there's so many variables that none of us are used to. Doug, what do you have coming up on the AJC the rest of the day?
Posting my capsule on Miami. And then tonight I'll have the game story as soon as that final whistle blows, and then we'll go and update it with quotes and context. And then hopefully there's going to be a good sidebar to write out of the game, and I'll post that. And then Jason and I will catch up for a Southern Fried Soccer podcast that you can find on Twitter at Doug Robertson AJC and on iTunes and on Spreaker.
Yeah, if we're guessing kickoff time in the 7:20 range, that would probably put me done with full-time report about 10:30, so maybe 10:45, Doug, for a rough estimate of when we can chat?
Sure.
Okay, and just text me as we get late in the full-time report, because we'll go for an hour after the final whistle on 92.9 The Game, so text me and we'll get it figured out. But yeah, I'll do that again from the stadium before I leave.
And just to make people understand, this is not me hating on Pitti. It's me just still, after 50 games, still not being quite clear how he fits within the lineup or how Atlanta United can fit him within the lineup. And it's just sometimes players just don't fit within teams. It's happened thousands of times in sports. And this just seems like it's one of those cases, unfortunately for Pitti and unfortunately for the team, because he's a quality footballer. It's just trying to figure out how to use him. It's proving to be difficult.
We'll see. We disagree on Pitti. We've had this conversation many, many times. I like the fact that Pitti is 4th in Major League Soccer in shot-creating actions this year. You look at the opportunities he creates, it's very high. But there are knocks against him as well. So we will see. I think he's a more important part going forward, and I think he's going to have to be if this team's going to get to the level that they get.
I think that he should be. But, again, it's just you don't see it consistently. That's the problem.
We will see. Well, hopefully he has a good game tonight, because if he does, I think Atlanta gets the result that everybody's looking for. Doug, thank you, and we'll be talking to you soon.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye. See you soon.
Make sure you follow him, Doug Robertson, AJC, on Twitter. We've got lots of final questions to wrap up with. You guys on Twitter, throw them in now. You guys in the Twitch pitch, throw them in now, and let us know what is on your mind as we wrap up. It looks like there has not been an update out of Barcelona as of yet. I don't know if Jorge Messi is still meeting with Bartomeu. They're up to the 6 box on TIC now with a camera outside of La Casa de Leo. All kinds of madness going on. There are questions about Manchester City people being in Barcelona, ready to pounce and get things done. Who knows? This is going to be wild.
Hashtag Messygate.
Yeah, hashtag Messygate is going to continue and continue and continue and continue. What do we have on the Twitter as we wrap up?
All right. Tafka with the Eric Lopez discussion, he says, okay, let's say it's a can't make it happen type thing.
Okay.
Lopez is technically, in quotes, on the Atlanta United 2 roster, but training with the first team.
Right.
He was primarily going to get non-league games. Can he play games with Atlanta United 2? What's involved to do so? If so, then let him do so.
My guess, and again, I'm reading between the lines a little bit on some of the things Carlos said and all of it. I think they've been trying everything possible to get him available for the first team. And I don't know if they've given up on that or if there's nothing else they can do. Once they do, then he would have to go to the twos for the rest of the season. You can't go back and forth. I would assume there's not going to be an issue with him going to the twos because the way everything was announced initially, he was going to the twos roster anyway. I think you can do that. I don't know if they've given up on any opportunity of him getting to the first team at this point. But if he goes to the twos, you wouldn't see him with the first team for another month. There's about a month more of USL Championship, so he would be with them for the next month, which I think is fine. I don't have a problem with that. If that's where you're at, that's where you're at. The window would still be open when the 2 season is over, so you could still potentially make a move if you needed to, but you would also expect by that time Cubo Torres is 90 minutes fit, is your number 9, is going to play the bulk of the minutes, and that's how it goes. So that's my question, Tafka, is if you can't get him in for the first team, and I don't think he plays for the first team right now anyway with Cubo Torres ready to go, I think that he needs to go to the twos and play if you can make that happen. If somehow these regulations don't allow you to send him there to play, then the regulations are ridiculous, if that's the case. You should be able to send him there for the rest of the season if that's the opportunity. That's where I'm at.
Bartimus Prime's in, and he says, again, Miami has conceded 8 of their 11 goals after the 50th minute. Doesn't it make sense that Torres needs to play at least come on at halftime for 45 minutes, hashtag Kubo in, hashtag second half goal? You
could do that. I don't have a problem with that. I think a lot of people want him in from the start to have a better start. I don't know if you hold him because Miami's had trouble finishing games out. I think there's other ways you could exploit that. Even if you don't want to turn to Adam John at that point. Manuel Castro has put himself into positions. You could turn there again. You could turn into a false 9 kind of situation with a Pitti or a Barco going into that role. I think there's still ways you can exploit Miami getting tired. I'm assuming what people want is Cubo Torres from the start to this team has that better feeling from the jump. I do think you have to factor in the Orlando game on Saturday. And, my feeling on it is I would rather have Kubo play 60 here and 30 in Orlando than vice versa. That's where I'm at. I think here you're going to have more of the ball. You're going to want more combination. John might be the better starting option, or even if you want to go Castro and just go over the top against Orlando instead of trying to build up as much. I think John can help you a little more in build-up play if people would play him more. I don't know. It's without everybody 90 minutes fit and with the schedule at the moment, you're getting into so many different things that it's like, well, maybe you have to do this, maybe you have to do this, maybe you have to do this. It's really hard to just say, this is our best team, this is how we're going to play, this guy's tired, okay, he's going to get benched, we're going to bring this guy in. There's so many little variables in it that make it all speculation and all guessing, and we're all trying to figure it out in a moment that, look, this team's never been in, this league's never been in with the scheduling and with the formatting right now, and everybody's trying to figure it out as best they can.
Chiefs coach Steve is predicting a Heinemann introducing himself to LGP moment tonight first. For LGP getting the card, he sees a forehead-to-forehead moment.
Could happen. I don't know if Hyndman would be that guy. I think Hosetsu's a little feistier than you think. I think Hosetsu could be that guy. I don't know if Hyndman's that guy. I think it's going to be somebody who didn't play with him, who's going to be more willing to do that, because he had good relationships with all the players he played with. I don't know if any of them are going to get forehead to forehead. Hosetsu doesn't really care. He might do it. Adam John might do it if he's in the lineup. Kubo might do it.
Yeah, Adam John. Yeah,
I could see Adam John throwing hands.
Yep. The Falcoholic predicts 1-0 to Atlanta. PT converts a penalty in the first half. Miami will finish the match with 10 men.
I was tempted to go 1-0. I do think there'll be some goals in it. So 2-1's where I'm at.
Rich Ransom's in with a couple of thoughts. 5 matches are left in the regular season for Atlanta United 2. Mm-hmm. And he says it might be the only Philadelphia versus Atlanta match this season, with at Philly Union 2 versus Atlanta United 2. Hashtag MLS USL Reserve Team Action Catch It. That's his hashtag.
Yeah, I wish I was going to be able to watch this game live, because I'm enjoying watching these two players develop and get these minutes. I think the quality's been better than the results, and that's been the step this year for me with the twos. Again, in a weird year, which has affected everything. I feel like the team is playing better than they did last season, and they're playing better than they did in 2018. It's steadily risen because the quality of the academy has steadily risen. The results haven't turned yet. My assumption, and this is an assumption because we'll never know, is that they would have gotten better results this season if you had Wyke, Campbell, Wolf, potentially J.J. Williams.
Gallagher occasionally.
Gallagher possibly, yeah. I mean, guys like that playing minutes with the second team in games. I think that would have flipped it, where you'd be getting some of the results that you haven't been able to get. But that's not the case this year. But the quality of play is the number one thing. The individual development is there, and I think that's coming, and that's been very good. So I enjoy watching those games. I've enjoyed watching those young guys develop, and I think you've got a number of very important players for the future coming.
8 matches today in USL Championship. The first one's at 3 o'clock Eastern. It's a noontime kick between Timbers 2 and Sacramento Republic. The numbers for Atlanta United 2 and Philadelphia Union 2 at 7:30. Atlanta United 2 plus 106 on the road at Philadelphia Union 2. Philadelphia Union 2 is a plus 195, and your draw is plus 257. Also in Group H, Tampa Bay, Miami FC are going at it also at 7:30. Tampa Bay a minus 127. Miami FC is a plus 254.
Anything else on Twitter?
I think there was, yes, Rich Ransom, long live Pasta Boat. That's the last thing.
Y'all are killing me with this pasta boat nonsense. I don't need no pasta boat. Make my pasta myself.
One random note on your Wall Pass Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
The new Dancing with the Stars contestant listing has come out for 2020 DWTS.
Oh, boy.
Carol Baskin is in this run.
Why?
Hot topic, I guess.
Is it still really like it was 5 months ago?
Apparently, there's a new 2-part addendum to the series that's coming out. I think this week, where it's exclusive conversations with Joe Exotic from prison and that kind of stuff. So, Carol Baskin is a part of the new cast on Dancing with the Stars. That was announced a couple minutes ago.
Who else is on this show?
A couple of soap opera stars.
Don't know them.
NBA, I think Charles Oakley was announced as part of it.
On it? That's a weird one.
Vernon Davis from the NFL is on it. A couple of music people that, for me, it's like, I think I remember you, but now
who are the music people, John? Because this could be entertaining.
Well, Nelly's one of them. Him, I know.
Name me a Nelly song.
That I can't.
You can't name me a Nelly song. Can you tell me anything about Nelly?
People use that for me as a nickname.
I'm talking about the performer Nelly, not you. This isn't about you, John.
then the answer is an emphatic no.
You can't tell me anything about Nelly? You don't know anything about him?
I probably could if you reminded me of something. And
but then I'm telling
like,
you about him. I'm asking you to tell me something about Nelly. You got nothing, do you?
I got nothing.
Disappointing. Do you know where he's from?
We've
talked about this on the show.
Isn't that St. Louis?
Yes, there you go. Good job. You know something about Nelly. Okay. What's the other musical people?
Okay, so let's see. A.J. McClain from Backstreet Boys.
Can you tell me anything about the Backstreet Boys?
They're not in sync.
Do you know any of their songs?
I'm sure I do, but I would blend them in with In Sync, and I would get it all wrong.
All right, we're done.
Okay, so here's your list.
I don't need the whole list. No, I don't want the whole list.
I'll give. It's like okay, you.
They're really
Anne H.
She's still relevant. Like they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel in this show at this point.
Jesse Metcalf, Nev Schulman from Catfish, and Johnny Weir.
This is wow. I
have zero interest in watching. So that would be Carol Baskin seems to be lighting up Twitter for that reason.
Yippee! I'm happy for her comeback to relevance from 5 months ago.
Not.
Anyway. All right, a couple things to keep in mind about tonight as we dig into this game. We'll get deeper into it on stoppage time. 2 o'clock, facebook.com/929thegame. I'll be on with the midday show at 1:20, talking to Andy and Randy about it. We'll be having our pregame at 6:30. Looks like we'll have a little bit longer pregame if this game kicks off, more in the 7:20 range. When I look at Miami and I dig a little bit deeper into what they do, one thing that surprised me is Lewis Morgan has been far more important in creating shots, creating opportunities for Miami than anybody else. It's not even really that close. 14 key passes, 14 chances created for Morgan. Victor Ulloa is next with 8. That's a little surprising. He's 9th in MLS in touches in the final third, so they are playing to him. Lewis Morgan's become a far more important player for Miami than I thought he would be at this point. I thought Pizarro would be that guy. Right now it's Morgan. One thing to keep in mind, because he creates almost 4 shots per match, and that's shots for himself or shots for others. 11 of the 25 shot-creating actions that he's had have come from set pieces. That's the 3rd highest in MLS. So set pieces, he is dangerous with his delivery from free kicks, from corners. He creates opportunities. That scares me because Atlanta's had problems defending set pieces. He will pump in crosses all day long. More crosses than anybody in MLS by a pretty large margin. Mostly from the right side, but not entirely from the right side. Pizarro, we've talked about Barco and Pitti earning fouls in dangerous spots. Pizarro has earned 4 fouls that created shot attempts. He's been fouled the most in MLS, in total, 25 times. Barco's played far less and has been fouled 23 times. So fouls per 90 played, Barco's way ahead of him. But Pizarro will earn free kicks in dangerous spots for Miami, and then you're back to defending set pieces again. Will Trapp's been better defensively, but not great. They don't really have a true defensive lockdown number 6. That's something Atlanta can take advantage of. I think if Mateus Hosetu gets the start in the role that we've seen in the last 2, he will have more space to operate in than he's had in the last 2 matches. I'm very intrigued to see what he can do with that if he gets that opportunity. One person who could come into the lineup tonight if Miami rotates is Dylan Nealis. Dylan Nealis has played okay this season as a rookie on the right side for Miami. He would probably be your right back if they want to give Reyes or Figal a night off. Figal could come inside and play next to LGP, who I think starts. Nealis 0 for 11 against dribblers. Atlanta United, especially on that side, if it's Pitti matched up on the left with Dylan Nealis, he's got the green light all day long to go at him. He can have 20 dribbling attempts on Dylan Nealis if he wants to. Keep going at him. He struggled in 1v1 defensive situations. Pizarro and Morgan are the keys in the attack for them. More so Morgan, but Pizarro as well. Pizarro is a little more likely to get on the end of something, as Morgan is a little more likely to create something. In the air, both teams are pretty good. Reyes has been very good in the air. Ben Sweat on the left side has been good in the air. Miami will take more chances with their passes because they don't care about possession. They're 24th in the league in possession, 44%. Atlanta's third. Atlanta's one of the best passing teams in the league. Miami's the second worst, completing 76% of their passes. They're going to play longer more. They're going to take more chances with their passes. They don't worry about keeping the ball. Atlanta does. That's where you get a very strong difference in the way that they play. Miami's committed the third most fouls in the league. They're the most fouled team in the league. Pellegrini and Trapp, Carranza, all are in the top 20 in fouls committed in the league. So they will be very aggressive up high. They have been generally, except the last two games where they dropped deeper. We've heard the hints that they might step up higher. We'll see. Even if that line is deeper, Pellegrini, Carranza, that group is going to be very aggressive. And they will kick people and they will foul people and they're going to give Atlanta opportunities on set pieces. But they want those set pieces to be in Atlanta's half or in the middle third. They don't want to give up those set pieces in dangerous spots. And generally they haven't. We'll see how Guido Gonzalez handles persistent infringement tonight, because that's an issue with a team that's number 3 in the league in fouls. Miami hasn't kept a clean sheet. They haven't scored after the 60th minute. They've conceded 6 goals after the 60th minute. Those are things that Atlanta has to keep in mind. So those are some of the numbers that I'm looking at when you just look at numbers. I think Miami is not a team that is fully connected. Atlanta is probably in that same boat, but Miami is less connected to me, especially defensively. I think they're going to give up goals. I think they're going to give up more opportunities to Atlanta than the Five Stripes have generally been seeing in these last couple of matches against two good defensive teams in different ways in Nashville and Orlando. Miami's not a good defensive team. I think that's going to help Atlanta's attack, and they will get more opportunities, and I think they'll get more goals.
Right there with you. So I didn't think that, and to me the set piece was in the back of my mind for going with the black velvet driving slipper lock of the week, but with the performance against, and once again this is counterintuitive, but their performance against a solid defensive team in Nashville, where you don't get a goal on the board, then going up against the team that has been suspect recently at the back in Atlanta United, giving up set pieces and things like that. It was counterintuitive for me to sit there and say 2-0 as opposed to 2-1, but I definitely see where you're coming from.
We'll see what happens. Coming up, I'm on 929radio.com app 120. Stoppage time 2 o'clock with Mike and I, and then we're on the radio at 6:30. If you can join us on 929 The Game on your radios or on the radio.com app, we will be there for you. We'll have the full-time report for an hour afterwards. You guys who are watching on Twitch, thank you very much. You guys who have subscribed on Twitch, thank you very, very much. You guys who listen on the app live, thank you. Thank you for everybody who has subscribed and reviewed and downloaded the podcast and all of those things. We really, really appreciate it. It allows us to keep doing what we're doing. We'll keep doing it tomorrow, 9 o'clock, an Overreaction Thursday, where we'll have plenty to talk about. We'll also have Jessica Charman hanging out with us for a little while in the first hour with her thoughts on the game from tonight. Lots of things on the horizon because it just then turns over to Orlando on Saturday. We'll review tomorrow, we'll preview Friday, and we'll just keep rolling along because that's what this season is like. So thanks, y'all, for hanging out with us this morning. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back for the game later. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.